With every new model, Realme changes the design of the back, and for the 6 Pro we now have a lightning inspired design in either blue or orange. The glossy finish of the back makes this phone very slippery, but thankfully it's Gorilla Glass 5. The Realme 6 Pro features a 6.6-inch LCD display with a dual punch-hole cutout. The 6.6-inch LCD panel on the Realme 6 Pro is capable of 90Hz refresh rate, and you can switch between 60Hz and 90Hz from settings or leave it on auto and let the software decide. Even though this isn't an AMOLED panel, we found the colors and brightness to be more than adequate. Realme is proud of the fact that the Realme 6 Pro is the world's first phone to feature the Snapdragon 720G mobile chipset. The Snapdragon 720G is a powerful chip, so as expected, general usage and multitasking was handled superbly. Actual gaming performance is pretty solid too. PUBG Mobile ran smoothly at relatively high graphics setting. Battery drain was under 10% after a 30-minute watch, which is good, and there wasn't much heating either. The Realme 6 Pro is available in 3 versions, one with 6GB of RAM and 64GB of storage, another with 6GB of RAM and 128GB of storage, and the top-end variant with 8GB of RAM and 128GB of storage. The Realme 6 Pro has a similar rear camera setup to the Realme 6, but with the depth camera swapped for a telephoto camera. There is a 64MP primary sensor, an 8MP ultra-wide camera, a 12MP telephoto camera with 2x optical zoom and 20x hybrid zoom, and a 2MP macro camera. In the front we have a 16MP primary camera and a second 8MP wide-angle camera. You will be happy with the landscapes and close-up shots with the Realme 6 Pro during the day. Distant objects have fairly good details, colors are well represented, and HDR works very well. Photos captured by the telephoto camera were decent too. In low light, the primary camera is pretty capable and manages a fair bit of detail with good colors. We were quite impressed with the quality and detail in photos taken with the front cameras. The wide-angle camera is great for taking a group selfie, and you can even shoot videos with it, but night mode only works on the main selfie camera. The 6 Pro also supports slow-motion selfies with the primary selfie camera. The Realme 6 Pro can shoot videos at up to 4K but only at 30fps. Video quality is generally good at 4K, but if you are moving a lot, then it's best to stick to 1080p resolution. The Realme 6 Pro packs in a respectable 4300 mAh battery with the support for 30W fast charging. The 6 Pro delivers a solid day and a half of battery life even with heavy uses. The 30W fast charger manages to charge the battery from 0 to about 90% in an hour, which again is very quick. Realme X2 smartphone was released in September 2019. The phone comes with a 6.4-inch Super AMOLED touchscreen display with an aspect ratio of 19.5:9. This device is powered by Qualcomm Snapdragon 730G 8nm processor. It comes with 8GB of RAM. As far as the cameras are concerned, the Realme X2 on the rear packs quad camera setup consisting of a 64MP main shooter and 8MP ultra-wide lens and 2MP dedicated macro camera and another 2MP depth sensor. There is a single 32MP camera on the front for selfies. This device is based on Android 9.0 Pie and packs 256GB of internal storage. It is powered by 4000 mAh battery with 30W fast battery charging support. It was released in pearl white and pearl blue colors. The Realme X50 5G features a rather typical smartphone design. The bezel-less display, curved glass back, no headphone jack. It's a 2020 smartphone through and through. Its uniqueness lies in the front-facing camera, a dual camera setup that results in a longer than usual cutout on the top left of the display. The Realme X50 5G has a pretty standard 120Hz display. The Realme X50 comes with an IPS LCD technology display that has a size of 6.57 inches. It gives a resolution of 1080 by 2400 pixels and the density of the display is 401 ppi. The body of the device is built with Gorilla Glass 5 on the front as well as back. The entire frame of the device is made with aluminum. Apart from this, the device is also splash resistant, which makes you fearless while using the phone near the beach, a poolside party and so on. The chipset of the smartphone is Qualcomm Snapdragon 765G and it is packed with 6GB or 8GB or 12GB of RAM that helps with the smooth functioning of the device and 128GB or 200 or 56GB of inbuilt storage depending on the variation you buy. This chipset will easily handle the best of the Google Play Store has to offer regarding the games. It is worth noting that there is no external memory card slot, which means increasing the storage is not an option, but 128GB and 256GB should be enough to store all your pictures, videos and documents. The smartphone consists of a quad camera setup, 64 megapixel plus 12 megapixel telephoto lens which supports 2x optical zoom and 8 megapixel ultra wide lens, and another 2 megapixel dedicated macro camera. It also features LED flash, HDR and panorama. The X50 5G shoots video at 4K resolution. Shots taken with the X50 5G are not going to topple the best out there, especially in low light, but for the price they are competitive and better than those taken on the OnePlus 8. On the front side of the device there is a dual camera that consists of a 16 megapixel and 8 megapixel ultra wide lens that clicks awesome selfies. This device is powered by a 4200 mAh battery with 30W fast charging support. Realme X2 Pro is a lovely piece of surprisingly inexpensive smartphone hardware. It looks great, it has a decent heft, and its display is both extremely bright and colorful. X2 Pro has a silky smooth 90Hz Super AMOLED panel. This display is 6.5 inches in size and has a single dewdrop notch for its front-facing camera. It has the ability to blast you in the face with a max 1000 nit brightness. The in-display fingerprint scanner works flawlessly. We have Snapdragon 855 Plus powering the device along with 6, 8 or 12GB of RAM depending on the variant. In performance, the Realme X2 Pro doesn't disappoint. The use of the top-of-the-line processor and RAM configurations means this device will do anything and everything that you ask it to do. I tested many games and I have not experienced any lag or frame drops. Realme has taken this phone's camera to the next level with a 64 megapixel main camera, 8 megapixel ultra wide camera, 13 megapixel telephoto camera and 2 megapixel depth camera. Realme has really packed a lot of versatility into this quad camera setup. You can record 4K video at 30 fps and 720p super slow-mo video at 960 fps. Pictures taken with this device delivers great quality. The color temperature is a little on the warm side, but there's a lot of detail and contrast, and HDR kicks in when needed. Selfies turn out pretty good thanks to the 16 megapixel selfie camera. 4000 mAh being the standard for most smartphone batteries these days, the Realme X2 Pro is pretty average in that department. Nevertheless, our testing showed impressive results and I was easily able to go a full day without needing to top up. This device comes with 50W fast charging support. Realme X50 Pro 5G is the second flagship smartphone by the company after the X2 Pro. Realme X50 Pro features an aluminum glass sandwich design with a layer of Gorilla Glass 5 both on the front and back. It is a bit smaller than the X2 Pro but slightly heavier due to a bigger battery and new processor. The rear panel of the phone has a OnePlus 7 like smooth matte finish that feels good in the hand. Realme X50 Pro features a 6.44-inch Full HD Plus resolution Super AMOLED screen with dual punch-hole cutouts for two front-facing cameras. This gives the screen a 20:9 aspect ratio, which is decent for watching videos or movies on the phone. The display has a 90Hz high refresh rate, which means that you will notice smoother transitions while scrolling, browsing, watching videos or playing games. The screen is also certified for HDR10+ playback. There is a wide range of options available to make the screen more comfortable to view. Realme X50 Pro is powered by a state-of-the-art Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 chipset with an octa-core CPU and Adreno 650 GPU. This flagship processor is 25% faster and more efficient than the previous generation chipsets. It is also the first smartphone in India to ship with Snapdragon 865 5G chipset. This is further supported by a 6GB/8GB/12GB RAM. Realme X50 Pro uses an upgraded vapor cooling system for the thermal management with faster heat dissipation across 6 layers of graphite sheet, vapor chamber, copper foil and silica. This helps the phone sustain peak performance when playing graphics-intensive games for hours. We played a bunch of different games on it such as Call of Duty Mobile, PUBG Mobile, Asphalt 9 and so on. This phone can easily power all the major titles that you can think of without breaking a sweat. Realme X50 Pro features a quad camera setup which consists of a primary 64 megapixel camera that uses Samsung GW1 sensor with an 1.8 aperture, another 12 megapixel telephoto lens with 20x hybrid zoom, and 8 megapixel ultra wide angle lens with an 119 degree field of view, and finally a 2 megapixel monochrome lens for portrait mode. On the front, there's a pair of selfie cameras with a 32 megapixel Sony IMX616 sensor and an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle lens with a 105 degree field of view. The cameras on the X50 Pro are capable of recording 4K video at 30 fps, full HD slow motion videos at 120 fps, real-time bokeh video and more. Realme X50 Pro has a decent set of cameras that are versatile. The cameras are capable of making sharp and detailed pictures with close to natural colors. The dynamic range is also decent, and there are features like chroma boost to increase the saturation and vibrancy in pictures. Realme X50 Pro comes with a 4200 mAh battery with support for 65 watt super dart charging and 18 watt power delivery charging. This is an even speedier fast charging standard than the one we have seen on the Realme X2 Pro, and the company claims that their super dart solution is capable of topping up the phone from 0% to 100% in just 30 minutes. Realme X50 Pro is a really powerful smartphone packing in the latest and greatest with Snapdragon 865 chip from Qualcomm. It fulfills all the necessary requirements of being a flagship phone.